y'all, my name is Jana Kay and welcome to Flourish, Faith, and Fiber. And this is Boujee Crochet Wearables number 7, and it's an update on the progress, or should I say lack of progress, that I have made on this second wearable, the Summer Breeze Raglan. So great to have y'all here. Thanks for coming in and joining me, and let's get to my update. So as the title indicates, I've had to frog, and I frogged back a few rows. In the pattern, you increase every side, every round, until I think it's right after row 16. Anyway, then you stop increasing the shoulders, so the arm, the sleeve, and you only increase the front and the back. And that's where I frogged back to, because I realized that as I kept trying it on, and I did mention in the last video that the V did not come down as far, but in my gauge, the gauge in the pattern was 14 stitches and 12 rows makes the 4-inch or 10 centimeter by 10 centimeter by 4-inch square. And my gauge was 16 across and 13 rows. So it took an extra row to get the 4 inches, which means every 4 inches, I was actually, my 12 rows was actually too short, not deep enough. And that's why the V didn't work out and why I've had to frog back. So I frogged back and I'm adding 2 rows. And this is what happened to the pattern. I can't show you the pattern, but I can show you where I have frogged back, and I have done a couple of extra rows. So there you go. I frogged back and did 2 more rows. And what I did with the 2 more rows is I kept, instead of stopping, increasing on the sleeve side, I kept increasing every side all the way around. And I say every side because even though we're working in the round, it is making somewhat of a square. Raglan. It's a raglan, so it's making a square. And so I kept increasing both of the sides. So as I said, I can't show you the pattern, but let me tell you what it did to the pattern. So the way her pattern is written is that she, because of her stitch counts, is combining 2 sizes for each set, doing the raglan part of the top. I don't know if that makes sense, but let me explain. She combined the small and the large. And most patterns, if you've done wearables, you'll see most patterns will give you a count, a stitch count for the smallest size, and then in parentheses, and usually in different colors, give you the stitch count for the bigger sizes. So if the smallest is a extra small, they'll give you that number, and then in parentheses, they'll give you the small, the medium, the large, the extra large, the 2XL, and so forth. And so she combined the small and the large, and combined the medium, which is the size I'm doing, because my gauge swatch was different. So I did the math to figure out I'm going to do the medium, and she combined that with the extra large. And so she'll give you the medium stitch count, and then in parentheses and in a different color, the extra large stitch count and row count, because in part of the pattern, she would have the extra large do a row or 2 extra. So all that to say, my row count has now come out to match the extra large row count. adding 4 that I had more rows in 4 inches than she had, which means I need to add extra rows to make up for that. So it ended up that now I am following the extra large row count, which is easy because those 2 patterns are combined together. And I just have to remember to look at the extra large row count. The other thing is I have added 4 stitches. So in the corner, there's 2 stitches added every time. So 1 for this and 1 for this side. And the same thing in the back. So there's 1 for this sleeve and 1 for the back, which means that actually for the sleeve, I've added 2 stitches, and for the back, 2 stitches, and for the front, 2 stitches, so forth. So in total, I have added in those 2 rows that I did, I've added 16 extra stitches total and 2 on every side. And which means actually in 2 rows, 4 on every side. You with me on this math? Okay, if not, no worries. What I did on the pattern then, I was able, because it's PDF, to put in a different color all those stitch counts and update the stitch counts. So that if I use a thin yarn again, I've got it. If I go and use a thicker yarn, I can follow then her pattern, hopefully. Anyway, there is 1 more extra row that the extra large will follow. So I'm going to try to keep in line with the extra large row count. So I don't have to redo or put the notes in the pattern. I just know follow the extra large row count. And then keep following the stitch count. The nice thing is, after we connect for the sleeves, then whatever your count is what it's going to be for the rest of the top, for the rest of the raglan. So I don't have to make any more corrections, or I should say alterations on the pattern after that. The last thing is I'm not sure. I will have to try it on and see. The small adds 3 chain under the arm, and the extra large adds 7. I'm not sure what number of chains I'm going to have to do when I do connect for the sleeves. We'll have to see. The sleeves will be, I should say, big enough around, but they may not be long enough. So we'll have to see. I think it is getting there to being able to go underneath my arm, and maybe when I add that extra row on top of it that goes with the extra large size, it will work out. But anyway, those are some of the alterations I've made. I've frogged back. I've done some calculations, and hopefully it will work out. I can connect for the sleeves and keep going, and the next video be able to show you the progress that I have made, and maybe even be finished doing the rows around the rest of the top. But we'll see how all of my calculations work out. I want to say, don't let the math scare you. But if it does, if that's not your strong suit, get help. And you can always, in the description box below is my email. You can always write me, even send me the part. I don't want the whole pattern because that, it's copyrighted, but send me the part and ask for my help. I'm happy to do that because I do love math. Math is my strong suit. And so, in fact, I am preparing to take a course on technical editing crochet patterns for people because math is my strength. I love it. I happen to like it quite a bit. Anyway, all that to say is don't let it scare you. But if it does, if you know that is not your strength, get help. And you can always ask me. Thanks for catching this update. And hopefully, as I said, I will be able to connect for the sleeves and get further progress and be able to update you in the next video with that progress. Y'all have a great day. Thanks again for joining me. We'll see you later. Bye-bye, y'all.